And Johnny, let's move on into the next topic we're talking about, taking a little dive into the DC universe. And something interesting this week is on an episode of Fat Man on Batman, Kevin Smith, here, I'll just read the Screen Rant article. So on Fat Man on Batman, Kevin Smith had some thoughts about Mr. Freeze in a standalone movie. Here's the excerpt from ScreenRant.com. Smith's opinion on the matter can be heard on his latest Fat Man on Batman podcast episode. When Smith was asked by a fan which DC villain he'd like to see get their own movie, he made the case for Mr. Freeze. After a subtle joke about the many Joker movies currently in development, Smith referenced to the Batman the Animated Series version of Mr. Freeze, how Paul Dini's take on the character transformed him from campy to tragic. Smith also then argues that Mr. Freeze's freeze gun would be a visually cool thing to see on the big screen. Now, Johnny, I'm going to take this a step further.
Okay.
And Kevin Smith probably talked about this. I haven't seen this episode of Fat Man on Batman. I am just taking this idea that Kevin Smith had and having our own conversation with it and what we think. So here's what I'm thinking, because I'm the big Batman guy on the podcast.
Yeah.
Batman the Animated Series I love. Like, that is my jam.
Oh, for sure.
If there was one cartoon I could watch, if you said one cartoon you can watch and that's all you can watch front to back forever, it's Batman the Animated Series. Like, hands down. Maybe throw in a little Batman Beyond, but Batman the Animated Series and I'm good to go. Here's the thing I love about that idea is I think back to my childhood and Mr. Freeze and the entire episode. So the episode in the animated series called Heart of Ice, where basically you tell the story of, you don't have to tell the exact story. Obviously, you take your own spin on it.
Yeah.
But just telling the story of Mr. Freeze and how he loses his wife. Because the whole thing is his wife, Nora, she has a disease. He needs to help her by cryogenically freezing her until he can find a cure for her. And how he does that is then he has the Mr. Freeze powers. I know what people are going to say. Ricky, the last Mr. Freeze we have in our mind is Johnny. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! That's the last Mr. Freeze we have in our mind in a live action.
That's the first thing I thought of just for fun.
It's not a very good
no, it's
thought
not, but...
to Mr. Freeze, but this is a character to me. If you do that, to me, if you do something around that story, just relating it to him and his relationship to Nora, and like we talked about in the Venom trailer, and what we've talked about with Infinity War, you can make Mr. Freeze... how do I want to put this? Not the good guy, but you can make audiences feel empathy for him.
Yeah, it's less about like the way you and I talk about being a fantastic villain in the sense of, oh, he thinks he's doing something. He's almost like the hero in his own mind. This is less of that, and like it's
selfish, but he's doing the right thing to save someone.
It's not even to like help himself. It was to save the love of his life.
Yeah.
And that's like another like a noble trait of...
It would be like Superman saving Lois Lane.
Exactly. Except it's not deemed the same way.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot.
Because he will go basically to
extremes.
Any extremes to save her life, where Superman won't do that.
Well, it's not fair. Superman could just fly around the earth and turn it back a few days.
Yeah, true. True that.
Not fair.
But what are your thoughts on it?
You know what? It's I like the concept overall. The only thing I'm worried about is how to make it long enough of a movie. Because obviously you have to fill it nowadays. You have to fill a 2-hour time slot. Anything lower than that is just kind of too short of a movie. I'm trying to think, how do you make that span to like 2 hours?
I've got it.
Besides that, the one thing I can think of, and I'll throw mine out first, and I'll let you go with yours.
Go ahead.
What if you make it like he's already in Arkham, like one of the cells, and like explaining like bit by bit the storyline,
kind of like a Quentin Tarantino, where he's telling the story of,
and like they show the story going on, like this is where it all started. This is
like
how I became.
He is the narrator to the story and just telling.
And then like first it's like this is how it all started, and then kind of like a little something in interlude, and then the next part is this is how I became who I am. Mm-hmm. And then the final piece, and then maybe put some end thing where you can see him being Mr. Freeze.
Mm-hmm. How I would do it, and this is very basic take, is I would have 3 acts, obviously.
Yeah.
The first act would revolve around, I would not even have him in the suit.
No, yeah,
to begin the movie. Like, to begin the movie,
basically.
I would... See, I'm a little... Now that hearing yours, I'm a little torn, because you could do, like, the playful, like... Where it's basically you start the movie off with
the freezer room.
No, not just
that's what mine would be on that.
I'm saying like you kind of it's him reflecting, but like the movie starts with you've got him and Nora before he becomes Mr. Freeze, and they're like frolicking in like a pasture or something, or having like a good time, and it's all nice and yellowy and like those nice tones. And then it flashes back to like the dark, like he's in his cold freezer of like his lair, and he's thinking back, and then it flashes back to the good time, flashes back to the old. I'm thinking very basic in my head. The first act would be before he becomes Mr. Freeze, about his love with Nora, building that up. The second act is her becoming terminally ill, him becoming Mr. Freeze. The third act is him doing whatever he wants to save him, introducing Batman stopping him in the end.
I got a really cool
Go ahead.
In the movie introduction.
I can tell you're excited because you're biting your thumb.
I know.
You're like, I don't want to cut him off, but I really
I got a really cool movie introduction. Starting like just in the air.
The snowfall?
Just one snowflake, follow it, and have him start his little interlude introduction. Mm-hmm. And then land on the almost like a cell windowsill with because wasn't there a music box he had?
There is so it's like it's not actually, it's kind of like a snow globe.
Yeah.
But it's got her like ballerina and she like turns around.
Yeah. Imagine just like that snow, as it's like talking about how like nice little introduction and falls like right next to it. And then you see that glass, what you said, it was a snow globe, right?
Yeah, the ballerina.
The ballerina snow globe, and then it kind of goes into it like his freezer room. Mm-hmm. And then that's like where he starts, okay, this is how this all started.
Mm-hmm. Which it's funny you say that because I had to pull up, I'm watching it right now.
Yeah. Did I just describe the intro?
Well, the beginning of how the animated series episode Heart of Ice starts is basically... It's snow falling.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of snowflakes falling, and then it pans down on her, the ballerina, twisting, and he's got her in his hands. And the snow is all in the snow globe, and then he just grabs the base of it, and then he starts talking with his monologue.
Yeah, I would start just one snowflake in the sky and one real snow, like a real snow. Make it like a snow falling Gotham.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. Mm-hmm. The one snowflake falling lands right next to it, or even on top of it, like you said, and then that pans into bringing us into like the now Mr. Freeze, and that's when he starts his monologue and narrating the story. And this is very Quentin Tarantino now, isn't it?
Very, kind of, yeah.
Quentin, please, I want a Mr. Freeze movie by you.
Is he doing one of the Joker movies?
I don't
think so, but I don't know. I know Joaquin Phoenix is doing
he's acting
one of the Joker movies, but now I'm kind of thinking about that a little bit, to where you could do it in that way too, of he's already Mr. Freeze at the beginning.
Yeah, and then flashbacks.
But then you have flashbacks throughout the movie where while he's going through the movie trying to find, you could even say from the beginning, he knows what he needs. He's kind of coming up with his plan. That's the movie.
Yeah.
And then Batman getting in the way here and there.
Yeah.
Where the end of the movie, if you wanted to make it as close to Heart of Ice as possible, because the end of Heart of Ice, he's taken to Arkham and put in his Sub-Zero cell that was designed to hold him. And then it says, right here, the episode ends with Freeze tearfully gazing at a music box of his beloved Nora and begging her forgiveness for failing to avenge her while Batman watches sympathetically from outside. That's another component to this, is not only if it's done right, you make us sympathetic of Mr. Freeze, but also I can't remember a superhero movie right now, live action superhero movie, where the superhero in the end is genuinely sympathetic of the villain after he had captured him, thwarted his plan and everything.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Not even none of the Marvel movies.
No, I'm trying to think now. I mean, the closest thing is having Bucky.
True.
Like feeling sorry for Bucky. And that's like and even T'Challa, like that's like
because it's your half brother, it's your best friend.
Not even half brother, but it's his best friend, just like his brother.
No, I'm saying T'Challa.
Oh, T'Challa. Oh, that's that one too. No, I'm saying T'Challa for Bucky even.
Oh, okay.
I was all wrong.
I thought you were talking about Black Panther with Killmonger.
You're right. No, you're right about Killmonger too. That's his his cousin.
Yeah, his cousin. So family member there, where Bucky, it's just my best friend.
Best friend, almost family member.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise,
maybe Thor, Loki, but that's not even like Thor, Loki. It's like, I know you're going to trick me.
It's almost not fair at this point to say that one. But at the same time, that one is a perfect example too.
But like this one, you could make Batman sympathetic of Mr. Freeze in the end of everything.
You know what you could do at the very end of that one then? Have like him in his cell, like the tear trying, like almost like just start and freeze, or some sort of thing, and then like somehow in the cell it slips in the little globe, so he has something of Nora. Yeah, like Batman gets it in, like even it's just like through like the food thing.
Here's the thing that this makes me think of too is I feel like people are going to say, oh, Ricky, you're just being biased because you're an ultimate Batman fan. But I feel like you could do this for most of the Batman villains. Because like we've talked about, to me, the greatest two rogues of, and I know Superman fans in past videos that we've done have been like, he's got rogues of villains as well.
Not as well known.
I just don't have that same connection with his villains that I do Batman. To me, there are two superheroes that have the best rogues and best gallery of villains. No particular order. You have Batman on DC side, Spider-Man on Marvel side. Like, they have the best gallery of
Ricky's
villains.
two favorite superheroes.
Exactly. But, like, that's the thing, too, where it's
sorry,
like,
I had to point that out.
When you have so many villains to work with, you can tell so many different stories. And maybe with the Batman movies, like, because the one thing I read an article recently, and they talked about how, if you've noticed, DC is kind of distancing themselves from their whole Bat family idea. Yeah, because like remember, they were going to do an Oracle movie and a Nightwing movie, and we're going to do this Batman movie that you haven't really heard anything about since it was like, oh, Matt Reeves is kind of finishing the script. Is Ben Affleck going to be Batman? I don't know. He wants Jake Gyllenhaal. It's been kind of radio silent on that front for a while. Right now, it's like, hey, we're pumping Aquaman, we're pumping Shazam, we're pumping Wonder Woman. Those are the three movies we got right now in the pipeline. And even the news of, I guess Zack Snyder came out and said that the DCEU, because the media coined that, not DC, I guess that universe was never supposed to be like the MCU. It was never supposed to be a connected universe, but they felt pressured into it because of what Marvel was doing. Which part of me goes, that's a cop-out answer, because if you weren't going to do that, you didn't have to do it.
No.
You didn't have to feel pressure, but that's a different story for a different day.
Yeah, that's a different podcast.
I just feel like maybe with the Batman side of things, tell these different stories through eyes that we've never seen before. Like we just talked about the Venom movie.
Yeah.
How 10 years ago, would you think to yourself, I would think a Mr. Freeze movie would be really cool?
Not 10 years ago.
Because we never thought 10 years ago that you could make a movie about a villain.
No. But now we have, like, after seeing all this other stuff, we have so many, like, we have just a few, now we have a few anti-heroes. Actually, yeah, I think that's the correct term, right? Yeah, Wolverine, like, Deadpool, Venom.
Is Wolverine an anti-hero?
Yeah, actually, he's considered an anti-hero.
I know Deadpool and Venom are.
Yeah, they're considered, when they're willing to kill and not, like, Wolverine's like on the hero slash
only
anti-hero.
Only because he's a Weapon X. When he's Weapon X, he's not really a hero.
Well, like it's the heroes that aren't like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man.
Because Wolverine's like I'm going to say like a lone wolf.
He's a lone wolf.
I don't want to be a part of a team, but I will help you out if I feel like it.
He'll be part of the team to some degree, but then there's also like, I'm not gonna be afraid to kill you if I have to kill you.
Exactly.
That's where the anti-hero part comes in.
Yeah.
Just like Venom will kill if he has to kill. Deadpool will kill if he has to kill. But you got superheroes that are like, no, we don't kill, except in the Marvel Universe, MCU.
Yeah.
Where we've killed about half of our villains off.
Yeah, basically.
But no, when it comes to comic books and cartoons, that's what like he's kind of like halfway between. He goes hero to anti-hero, where you have Venom and Deadpool are just complete anti-hero.
Can I use this time? And I mean, I'm only going to bring this up in this because I feel like this is a appropriate time to bring this up. Ahead. Because it's DC.
I don't even know if it's
what?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So this is something.
This is a good time to bring something up I don't know about.
This is something that bugged me this week that I really need to get off my chest.
Then I'm not allowing it.
I want to pull up this article before I say it, where basically you know my opinion about Zack Snyder. Where basically in my mind, I've never been a huge fan of Zack Snyder and his take on the DC movies. But I read an article this week where two articles, first off, where first off, Zack Snyder confirmed, I think it was on Twitter or some social media, I think it was Twitter that he was using. And it could have been Instagram. But he said that here's how it went down. He posted something of like, or someone posted a video of Batman. Joker took something important from me. Now I'm going to take something important from him. Jason ? And Zack Snyder commented on it and said, Richard. And people were freaking out like, bruh, no way. Basically confirming that the Robin we saw in BVS was not Jason Todd. It was Dick Grayson. And I immediately was like, you're an idiot. Like, I usually don't do that, but I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, come on. Dick Grayson's not dead, obviously. They wanted to make a Nightwing movie.
Yeah.
And then I read another article where, and this to me, I was just like, no, I don't want to see this, was Zack Snyder wanted Carrie Kelly as the next DCEU Robin. And I was like, really? You're going to bypass Damian Wayne, Tim Drake, a Jason Todd so that maybe we can get a Red Hood? I mean, bypassing Dick Grayson, I can understand. Maybe we're Dick Graysoned out. And you can fast forward to where he's already Nightwing. But like,
that's fine.
I didn't want to jump to the Carrie Kelly Robin to where immediately I was like, yeah, I get it. You're trying to, maybe you wanted to tell a story that we haven't really seen with Batman. But I'm like, that's not the story. Me personally, that's not the story I want to see. No. There are so many other stories. This Mr.Freeze story I would love to see more than that. I would love to see the Damian Wayne Batman. I know we got it in Batman and Son, the animated movie they made, but I would love to see a live action movie dealing with the relationship between Damian Wayne and his son and Batman, because when he becomes Robin, that is a fucked up relationship where basically Batman kind of has to take everything that Damian learned from the League of Assassins and from Ra's al Ghul and basically break him. It's like having a dog that was a trained killer, and you have to break this dog of every, maybe not the right way to say it comparing Damian Wayne to a dog, but breaking this dog of every bad habit that it has. And teaching Damian, we do not kill.
Yep.
We do not kill. We are not the executioner. We are not the judge. We just capture and then let the justice system do its job.
Yeah.
And that is what the whole thing, that even a Damian Wayne Batman movie would be interesting. But I mean, here's what I'll ask you kind of at the end here. Because I feel like the Mr. Freeze thing, unless you have any other ideas about the Mr. Freeze that you didn't think of.
I was going to make a comment to something you said earlier. So you said it could work with any of the Batman villains. And honestly, Mr. Freeze is one of the few I can think it actually works very well with and to make a full movie with. Because Joker definitely not. Harley Quinn definitely not. Catwoman, Now you tell me. Now I'll ask you. Do you think it would work very well with Poison Ivy?
Maybe. I mean, the thing about Poison Ivy is the same thing that we have the kind of stipulation with Mr. Freeze, where the last Poison Ivy we remember was Una Thurman.
No. I'm just saying. Like, I just don't think she has like the same tragic background he does.
Here's the one that I think would rival Mr. Freeze, and it's not a mainstream Batman villain. Hush. And the reason why I say that is Hush was a friend of Bruce's. I'm going to explain it for people who don't remember.
I'm just saying I remember.
Hush is he was a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne, and like I know he was a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne. I think his dad and their dads worked together, and they were friends. And basically, something tragically happens to Hush, to where he wants to become, and he is a plastic surgeon, and he is a serial killer that then takes parts of faces that he targets to make his face look like Bruce Wayne's.
Now, one other one, and I may be thinking the storyline wrong, is or maybe even it's just the animated series is different than the comic books. I don't know. Clayface, would he be up for the running?
Clayface could be an interesting one.
Because wasn't his kind of not tragic, like in the sense that Mr. Freeze's was, but like wasn't he like a slowly failing actor?
Yes.
Who was super desperate, got something that like a face cream he shouldn't have, and just fucked up the rest of his life.
Yeah. You're right on the head with that.
Okay.
Yeah, he was another one that, like you said, he was an actor where it's like, I got to do
whatever it takes because I got to look young again.
Basically, here's the little too long didn't read of it.
Yeah.
Where he was an actor who, upon discovering that a remake of one of the classic horror movies was being made, went insane and began killing the cast and crew wearing a mask of the film's villain, Clayface. Until stopped by Batman. Initially having no superpowers, he joined the group of other Clayfaces and stole their combined power. Oh, this is Carlos, so this is later on, I believe, and that allowed him to then shapeshift.
Okay.
But basically, the one from I know the animated series, he used the cream so much to where it just started. He would just basically
faces start melt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just going through other Batman villains to see which ones Black Mask would be interesting.
Yeah.
But that would be more of a mafia against Batman movie. I don't think
and
there's
you would
anything...
need Batman in there significantly.
Like Mr. Freeze, you technically don't need Batman until the very end.
Yeah.
To just stop him. One I've always wanted to see is Man-Bat. I have just always
That'd be
wanted
another
to
interesting
see,
one.
I've always wanted to see him in a Batman movie and seeing him done right in a Batman movie. But I mean, that's one where I'm I don't even know if we're going to see it. I'm getting down.
We'd have to have, that would have to be a Batman movie though, with Man-Bat in it is what I feel like.
The only other one that I can think of that I don't think that we would see, only because when we were kids, there was the big animated movie about it, Phantasm. He was in the Mask of the Phantasm. The cover art was a blue box with Batman and then a big mask behind him.
I don't remember Phantasm.
Yeah, that was one where it was early 90s? It was late 90s. And it was 97, 98. And this was one where it was Batman the Animated Series, but it was a full-length feature picture of it. It was Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, I don't remember that one, but the other ones I'm trying to think
of flip it around for you. That one, you don't remember that?
I don't think I remember seeing that, honestly.
That's the only other villain I could think of.
I'm trying to think of other villains and the I almost said Trickster. That's Flash, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Flash.
But the Toy Man,
Mark Hamill though.
Yeah, but the Toy Man, not really that I can think of.
The ventriloquist is interesting, but not enough. The only one I would like to see, but
the other
I don't
one is
think
Mad
we
Hatter
will.
wouldn't really do it either.
The Riddler. What about the Riddler?
Oh, shit. Forget about the Riddler.
Well, I didn't bring him up because I'll ask this question.
Yeah.
Is there enough there to do a Mr. Freeze-like story with him?
Not that I can think of.
The only
like if you wanted to go slow descent into that sort of madness,
yes,
that's possible, but that feels like a stretch still.
Because the Riddler's main, like his main MO, I always felt was never to. He didn't necessarily want to steal. He didn't want to like, oh, I'm killing this person.
Didn't necessarily want to kill. Didn't necessarily want to steal. He wants to challenge Batman.
Exactly. He wants to prove that I am smarter than you. I need to outsmart. Like that was his MO.
Yeah.
I am the Riddler. I want to come up with the master riddle to stump the great detective of Batman.
Exactly. It was none of the other stuff. It just happened to be.
If I happen to kill some people,
part of the plan.
Whatever.
It's like it's the side part of the plan. It's the it's the casualties.
And that
whatever. I can't remember the term.
And going back, one of my favorite animated series ones is the one with the Riddler, and it was Batman and Robin were in the episode, and they had the maze, and it was like the Matador was going through the maze, and it was like, oh, the Matador found Batman and Robin. Yeah, it would kill them.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite episodes as a kid from that cartoon series, and why I kind of was like, all right, the Riddler is my favorite Batman villain. Because he always it wasn't about this or that. It was 1v1 against Batman. I am smarter than you. I need to prove that I'm smarter than you. Yet again, Batman movies have been done so long. Yet again, another villain. Hey, we might have a bad taste in our mouth because most people didn't like the Jim Carrey Joker.
Yeah,
or Jim Carrey Riddler. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, understood. I understood that.
Because, I mean, Two-Face you could do Two-Face, but we just did Two-Face. We did Two-Face with Tommy Lee Jones, and we did Two-Face in The Dark Knight. Like
Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
Can we trust him?
We've done Two-Face to where it's like, okay, I don't think we need to do Two-Face yet.
Can we trust him?
I don't think we can trust him.
Harvey Dent. Can we trust him?
My favorite part of my favorite part of those movies is like, I'll do it. Swear to God. Swear to me. That is my favorite line from the Christian.
Swear to me.
Basically,
wow,
that
this
is
thing like went silent for a second when I did that.
That is my favorite part, my favorite line from Christian Bale Batman. But any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
No, I just want to say, I think if any of the rogues or any of the Batman villains, Freeze would work the best, though.
Well,
this type of movie.
This is where you guys come in. Let us know down below in the comment section, how would you do? Give us your master plan for a Mr. Freeze movie. How would you do it?
Or any Batman villain.
And I was going to throw that out too. After you do that, is there any villain that you're like, you know what, Mr. Freeze would work, but I want to see this Batman villain standalone film, and here's my plot.
I would love to hear the details on these movies.
And that's what I love about it. Like to me, this segment is like when we talked about the Black Widow movie. Yeah. And we just started going off on they could do this and that with it.
There's just shit we may not have thought of.
Exactly. And that's where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section.